For the third time this summer, someone has died at Halona Blowhole. We had live reports this morning on the search for and later discovery of the man's body. It's a situation rescuers see all too often.
Warning signs and fences are usually put up for a reason, but sometimes to those who consider themselves to be adventurous or a free spirit. Keep away signs are nothing more than an indicator that fun is ahead. Well, according to the friends and family of 18-year-old Daniel Dick, both of those phrases could be used to describe him.
Please heed to the warning signs at the lookouts. Do not go past the lookout signs. The signs are there for a purpose, and unfortunately, this is one of the proven points of tragic that can happen.
In 2002, Daniel had just graduated high school and had plans to attend California State University in the fall. But that summer, he and his family decided to take a vacation to Hawaii. While there one morning, he would leave the home that his family was staying at and made his way to the beach alone. But Daniel being Daniel meant that he wouldn't be alone for long. It wasn't long before he caught the attention of a group of girls on the beach, and they begun hanging out together. At some point during the day, Daniel saw a large fence and multiple signs, warning people to stay away from the blowhole on the rocks next to the beach. Now, the type of blowhole that I'm referring to are naturally created by waves crashing into a tube or cave on a rock wall, and then shooting through a much smaller hole on the top of the rocks, creating a geyser of water that shoots straight into the air. While incredible to look at from a distance, some blowholes can create a massive amount of force, which is why there was a fence erected around this one in particular. Daniel, not being a local, had no idea how dangerous these holes can be, so he asked the girls if they would like to get a closer look. They all cleverly decided not to, and tried to discourage him from doing the same, but he didn't listen. He quickly made his way over to the fence and hopped it, passing many other beachgoers on the way. Once he reached the hole, he wanted to feel the pressure of the geyser hitting him, so he fell forward over the hole and hovered above it on all fours. After a few minutes, a small wave hit the rocks, and a small burst of water hit him in the chest. He enjoyed it so much that he decided to try a larger one. As the next wave began barreling towards the rocks, the onlookers realized that it was far too big, and began shouting for Daniel to move, but it was already too late. The wave again crashed into the rocks, but this time, the power of the water exiting the blowhole was much stronger. Eyewitnesses stated that the wave carried him 5 to 10 feet into the air, and then just as fast as he went up, he began falling down. As he was falling, the water turned his body into the perfect position for a dive, and Daniel fell headfirst right into the blowhole. While the hole itself may be narrow and easy to climb out of, if not for the constant crashing of waves. Once you reach the end of the tunnel, it opens into a large underground cavern that is constantly being filled and emptied with thousands of gallons of water every 15 to 20 seconds. The force of these waves are far too strong for even the best swimmers in the world to manage. Daniel was stuck in a pitch-black cave, being thrashed around by the current, with no way of reaching the tunnel that he fell through. The only way out of this cave would be to swim underwater and find the hole that the water was entering through, and swim back into the ocean. But the injuries caused from the fall, the overwhelmingly strong force of the current, and the fact that he was panicked and couldn't see anything, made it impossible for this to be achievable. The accident was immediately reported, but there was nothing that could be done to help him until the high tide went back out and it was safe to enter the cave. That's when they discovered his body floating near the entrance to the cave. At some point in the night, he lost his fight against the ocean and drowned. Since then, his story has been used as a tale of caution for all the tourists who are just a little too curious about the areas they're not supposed to enter.
Ocean Safety says it's done 420 rescues in this area so far this year. There have been 6 deaths in the last 12 months in the area from Sandy Beach and Halona Blowhole to Hanauma Bay.
We report on this over and over and over again. What can be done?
To me, it's all about educating the public about the dangers, and if they're educated of the dangers, it's their decision if they want to heed those warnings or not.
We pray to God to reach our destination. My family is worried. If someone from my family travels, I also worry until they've returned home safely.
Almost a full 3 miles above sea level, the North Yungas Road starts atop the Andes Mountains in Bolivia. This road stretches alongside of the mountain for almost 40 miles. At its widest points, the road is only about 10 feet wide, but the real reason that this treacherous path is so well known is because of the horrible conditions that are caused by the massive amounts of fog, landslides, and the fact that you're traveling along a cliff that reaches 2,000 feet high, with nothing to stop you from going over the edge except for loose gravel and mud. This is how the North Yungas Road has earned the infamous nickname of Death Road. The road was constructed by the Paraguayan prisoners in the 1930s. It stretches from the capital city of Bolivia, known as La Paz, all the way to the heart of the Bolivian rainforest, making this road especially important for all of the merchants and farmers who make their living in the jungle. All the way up until 2007, this road was the only way in and out of this region of the mountains. During that time, an average of 200 people died on this stretch of road each year. This typically happened when larger vehicles such as trucks or buses would fall over the steep ledges and into the boggy abyss below. Since 2007, a much safer 2-lane road was constructed, using modern methods. This new road was built to prevent the use of the death road, and allowed people to get in and out of the capital city without risking their lives. After the new road was constructed, the government began strongly encouraging drivers to use the new modern path, but some destinations were only accessible using Death Road. Because of this, it still saw a considerable amount of traffic. In 2011, while going against the suggestions of local officials, a double-decker bus decided to make another run along the Death Road, like it had done many times before. On this particular day, the bus was loaded to the brim with 50 passengers. While normally this may not have been a problem, this particular trip was taking place during the jungle's wettest season, making this poorly maintained mud road much less stable than normal. The driver of the bus was well aware of this added danger. That's why when they approached a section of the road that he considered to be extra dangerous, he insisted that all 50 passengers exit the bus and walk across the mud. After they were all off of the bus, the driver began slowly making his way across this section of the road that was much more narrow than the rest. This is when the driver and the locals began to fully realize why the government wanted them to stay off of Death Road. Just as the front of the bus cleared the danger zone and seemed to be okay, the back of the bus began quickly sliding down the mountain. The driver attempted to press the gas, but it was too late. The bus toppled over the side of the cliff and fell hundreds of feet. Luckily, the driver was smart enough to make the passengers exit, but he himself was not so lucky. He would later die from the injuries caused by the fall. Unfortunately, I could not find his name while researching this story. If you know what it is, please share it with us in the comments below, so that he may be remembered for his heroic act.
At more than 100 meters below sea level, and with temperatures that can soar to more than 50 degrees Celsius, the Donokill Depression is one of the most inhospitable places on Earth.
Since water played a key role in both of the previous stories, I want to take you all to one of the driest spots on the planet, also known as the Donokill Depression. This large stretch of land located in Ethiopia is the hottest place on the planet in terms of average temperature. Daily temperatures average around 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but temperatures can get up to 135 degrees Fahrenheit and 58 degrees Celsius. It is also known as the lowest dry land on Earth, sitting 330 feet below sea level. The area also contains 3 separate volcanoes, and sits on top of the 3 most active tectonic plates on the planet, meaning volcanic activity and earthquakes are more than common. This causes fissures to regularly form in the ground, and from these giant cracks, clouds of poisonous sulfur and chlorine gases pour into the air. All of these factors combined have transformed the Donokill Depression into one of the most beautiful and least inhabitable places on Earth. This is exactly why 21-year-old Aya Amana decided to stay in Ethiopia after her courses abroad ended. She and several other students wanted to visit the salt deserts of the Donokill Depression. The local government states that without proper equipment and experience, some of these areas are incredibly deadly and should be avoided at all cost. But she and her friends set off like it was a normal hike. During this hike, she became separated from the group, and after failing to meet up with the rest of her friends, they began posting messages on Facebook about her disappearance. Once it was reported that she was missing without water or proper knowledge of the area, a large-scale rescue operation was started. At this point, her father frantically made plans to board a plane in Israel and fly to Ethiopia to assist in the rescue of his daughter, and to be there for her once she was found. But sadly, as he was on the plane, her body was discovered at the bottom of a crater, created by the constantly shifting tectonic plates in the area. The autopsy reported that she fell in and died instantly on impact. Her father was made aware of the discovery the moment he stepped off the plane in Ethiopia. Before I leave, I just want to remind you all that while traveling can be incredibly rewarding, no matter how far technology advances, this world is still full of danger, and we are all incredibly vulnerable. So thanks for watching, and please, stay safe.